What's up, everybody, and welcome to the iReach podcast. I'm your host, Paul Robinson, founder and CEO of ConstructReach, a national consultancy and initiative that aims to diversify the construction, design, and innovation industries and empower a younger generation. We are here merging education, industry, and culture with a variety of featured guests that you do not want to miss. So let's go. iReach. What is up, everybody? This is Paul Robinson, and we are back again for another iReach episode. And we've got a very special guest on today, Mr. Iwan Pribadi. Iwan, how's it going, man? Nice to meet you. Thank you for being on today. How's it going?
I'm pretty good. It's a little late here where I'm at, but it's all okay. It's all good.
Yeah,
Nice to meet you.
cool. Good, man. Well, listen, I'm sure that you've got, an amazing story to tell. We always kick off these episodes with just getting the chance to know our guests a little bit more and talking about your journey and how you got to where you are. So I'll ask you this question, man, just like I do everybody else. How did you get kind of interested into this construction industry, and what first piqued your interest, right? Like, what's been your journey to get to kind of where you are?
I was always interested in construction. And when I went to college, originally I was actually trying to get into the computer science. And I got accepted there. And then in the first semester, I switched and I went to take the civil engineering, where I really want to be. Yeah, so actually, I'm interested in building things. So, and I always like to do and construct things. So, it's just a passion that I have that I want to get into. So when I grew up, then that's where I want to be. That's pretty much it.
So straight to the point, you knew you always wanted to be within this industry. And that is, I would say that's probably unique to the guests that we've had on thus far. We're in our second season now. And we get a chance to talk to a lot of people that come from a lot of different backgrounds, and they have different upbringings, and they get exposed and introduced to the industry in a variety of ways. But what we do not hear quite often is, hey, ever since I was a child, I knew I wanted to be within this industry. I knew I wanted to go into building things. So when you were younger, how did you start to like maintain that interest, whether it was the games that you played, as a child or what have you? Like, what did you do to kind of feed that interest into building and constructing things?
Yeah, I love building Lego. So
Yes.
so that's when it's all started, right? So and then I'm also really interested in sequences in how you build things, right? And then technology around it. So that's where I end up. Actually, I was kind of surprised that I jumped ship into the tech business, in the tech industry, but while I'm still doing some construction, apply my knowledge with it. So that's really exciting, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting, man. That's pretty cool. All right, so talk to us a little bit about kind of your journey. So, in addition to knowing that you always wanted to be within this industry, to construct things, the interest as well, and the sequencing of things, what goes first, and some of those critical milestones, and what needs to be done in order for something else to happen next. And then going to college. Talk to us a little bit about post-college, from the type of job that you started with, and then how it landed you into the position that you have now. Talk to us a little bit about kind of your career journey and trajectory.
Post college, basically, like everybody else, right, Paul? You go find a job. But I started my career pretty early. So I went and do a couple internships with one of the large contractor in the States called Kiewit, right? So maybe the company. So I went intern with them and spent maybe a couple semesters um, doing some estimating, doing some different things, whatever they want, they ask me to do basically, right? Then after I graduated, I, basically, well, this is what I want to do. So I, apply, and basically the job is there for me. And I joined Kiewit Industrial. That's what, the division the district I was at that time. Um, so basically, we went and built power plants. So at that time of these are around late 90s, early 2000s. There are a lot of gas power plant, and then um, so I got into it. So I was doing um, well. Actually, I went and done a lot of roles, right? So I spent some time, doing scheduling and project control type of work, and then I went and actually get some experience to be in the field, being field engineers. Even I ran piping crew. So
Oh
so I've
wow.
been that's all of that. I was thinking like, okay, what do I do next, right?
Hmm.
So so where I'm at right now, when I actually look back, all of those that I did was very important, right? Because that's when you actually learn how people construct, you learn how they talk, right? So in my job today, you know, I met many people from the industry, even though I'm in the tech side of it, but
Hmm.
you are talking to, the construction people. Yeah, so when you start talking their language, things kind of flow a little different. So okay, so you
Yeah.
know what? So what problem we're having in the field, So that's where we come in and try to help them with the tech solution, basically. So here we go. Then so I kind of zoom real quick there, but one of the project I was at the oil refinery project in Eagan, Minnesota at that time, and then we implemented. We actually hired a small company out of Mountain View, California, a small startup, to do some, you know, uh, basically a implementation of the tool that we trying to use at site at the time,
Hmm.
and that that kind of, well, looks like this is what I want to do. Then I decided, and basically joined that startup company.
Mm.
So the long story short, uh, we got acquired by Bentley Systems, where I work today,
Yeah.
back in 2008, and so I'm with them since basically
Yeah.
till today. So that's where I end up.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. And what are you currently doing? So what's your role now?
Um. Yeah. So I basically manage the global construction and plant design team, doing digital transformation for enterprise projects around the world. So
Mm.
it's exciting field basically.
Yeah.
I travel a lot, right?
Hmm.
I traveled a lot more before, but I travel a little less today. But I travel a lot, so I've been in many different countries, including the one that you may not want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really exciting. And then we built a lot of very exciting project, very amazing
Mm.
project around the world. Um, some project that you would only see in the Discovery Channel. So we built the largest um, FPSO, FLNG is called, not FPSO. Sorry, I apologize. FLNG
Mm.
project in South Korea. Everything is in a fab shop, but this is like the length of the boat is like uh, is like the twin tower in Malaysia, if you know the the height
Oh
it with
wow.
iReach. It's really,
Yeah.
really big. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's
Yeah.
it's one
Those
of
are
the
very large projects.
it's opportunity to travel, and then it's
Yeah.
opportunity to work with amazing people around the world, basically.
Wow. No, that is great, Juan. And thanks for sharing that. One of the things that you mentioned as you were talking about, your career journey and where you started, and kind of talked us through where you are today. You mentioned that you had an internship, and that's one of the things that we put a lot of value in. Talk to us a little bit about your internship and what were some of the things that helped you make a decision that, you know what, this is for me.
The intern always played a big role, right? When you in school, you learn different things from the book, but when you go out there and do your intern, you really get into the industry, kind of ease you in to the industry, and you start talking to the people that does it for many, many, many years, right? And when I, set my first foot in Kiewit Plaza at that time in Omaha, I was the first guy showed up at that office. So like I was so excited. Right, this is my first job, even
Yeah.
though only for summertime, But this is
Yep.
cool. So I was there, and the first thing I was asked to do is to make photocopies.
Mm.
But that's okay, no problem. That's the first. That's my first day. Then
Yeah.
then they start teaching me how to actually run an estimate, right? So I
Mm.
was doing concrete estimate on a power project. So
Wow.
basically, oh, okay, so this, well, I kind of know how to do it a little bit, but oh, this is how you do it. And they actually, at that time, we're still in the 90s, so we actually not doing it electronically. We're doing it on a piece of paper, and they have a form that they actually produce and use. It's standardized. It's all the lines, everything. It's like you have to put that number in the box. That's kind of okay. So you learn it a little bit at the time, and I think you understand eventually that okay, this is how you actually get the number and then put them in the estimate, right? And then apply whatever the dollar is, and then went into the bid package, and there you go, and the rest will follow. So that's really you learn on how people do things for real.
Yeah, no, that is very good. And I think there's you said things that is because we have different audiences, right? That kind of listen in, whether they're on the employer side, so they're already professionals and they are, in charge of hiring young talent and or they're in the process of maybe formalizing internship programs, or maybe they need to understand, the value of internships, right? I think you spoke to the value of that on the employer side because you got that opportunity to move right into a full-time position post the internship with Kiewit. And from an employer perspective, they they knew what you could do, right? Because of that internship. You got a chance to do work that a full-time employee would be doing. And then from your side, it was beneficial because you got a chance to examine the company as well. You got a chance to interact with folks from a company. They developed you, they helped you, and you got a chance to add value as well. And so, it was almost kind of an examination, if you will, on both sides, right? Is this
It's a
company
win-win
for
for
me?
both sides, to be honest, right?
Yeah.
I am doing the same, right? I just hired a guy that interned with us last
Mm,
year, right?
mm,
So it's basically a win for both sides, employer and the employees, right?
yep.
So you kind of know them, and you know how good they are, what passion they have, and then
Mhm.
from there it gives you some more confident to basically work with the guy for a longer term, right? That's the kind of thing. I think intern is always a start.
Yeah,
For,
yeah.
you know.
Yes, absolutely. No, thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned, you come in to this industry doing one particular role, but then it dovetails as you grow and as you learn and as you get exposed to other career pathways that exist underneath the umbrella of construction. Then you started to veer over to the technological side of things, but still having that connection with construction. And I think that's very important because a lot of times we have a lot of interaction with young people, and we do these events or what have you across the U.S. called I Built This, and we're being introduced to them, we're having conversations, and we're exposing this younger demographic to the career pathways that exist within the industry. And a lot of these kids, I mean, all they know is technology, right? Like that's the era in which they grew up in. So they don't know anything that predates how we did things without the technology. But I think what's important is to make that connection between the construction industry and technology, because there's a lot of technological need and a lot of technology that is utilized within the sector in a variety of ways. And I'm glad that you made that connection and connected those dots, and also showcased how you went from kind of the traditional construction jobs over to the technological side, but still seeing that connection there. And I think that's very useful.
Yeah. If construction tech, I call it contact, is basically
Content.
still quite new, right? They are still quite new. It hasn't been around very long versus the engineering side of it, right? Engineering, they've been doing this for decades, but construction, the company I joined at that time, when I joined the startup, we actually built a very neat application that kind of started the whole thing, right? I'm not sure if we are the first, but maybe we are not. We are very handful of companies that trying to do and change this creating the construction technology piece of software earlier, right? And now, I mean, every large company actually trying to do something about creating technology for construction to help people, be more productive in the field, improve and streamline communications, all that good stuff. But at that time, man, early in my, early 2000, that wasn't very many doing kind of technology in construction. But now, if you go in the field, people carrying, cell phones that they do the work and post data to, report to the supervisions, basically. Yeah, so it's all is moving to that direction.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, so listen, Iwan, I asked this question to all of our guests here, because it hits on both ends of the spectrum, right? And also it's an opportunity to showcase, that hey, we all go through things, but it's about how we navigate through it, right? And so two questions that I have for you here, and we can end on the good note. One question is, what's been your most difficult moment, or what's the most difficult aspect of maybe your job or being in this industry? But then we're also going to swing the pendulum to the other side and talk about your most proudest moment as well. So I like to end on a good note. So let's answer the most difficult part first. What's been your most difficult kind of season or experience, as a working professional?
I don't mean to discourage people to join the industry, but when you are in the construction space, your personal life is really tough.
Mm,
What I'm saying is this: you move around with your job because you're not going to build, project in the same place all the time.
yeah.
So you don't really have a home. Well, you can set up your home base. I want my home base here. I set one up in Kansas City at that time, right? But then you have to travel to your job. Well, and then sometimes you have to go to a different country if you join for the last organization, right? If you are single, things kind of go easy, no problem. I love to travel, but when you start, um, you know, trying to have your family, and then things can be a little difficult.
Mm.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. So that I mean that's the fact, right? I mean you
Yeah.
have to deal with that. That's kind of the what I say the most challenging career decision that I have to make, right? That's why when I had the opportunity, oh, this is still the construction that I love to do, and except is from different angle, right? Now you are trying to help construction people to do better work, be more efficient, more productive by implementing such technologies, right? So this is and give you more stability towards like, okay, now I with all the internet technology now, you can do meetings online. You can actually you don't need to travel. When we have COVID time at that time a few years ago, we all everything is done via my internet, my computer at home. So it's kind of neat, right? And also, you stick around and still talking to people where you came from, basically the construction people, right? So it's sort of to me, it's like the dream job I have,
Mm,
So I
yeah,
basically I this is where I still do what I want to do, but
yeah,
I can basically do not really have to move with the project. I
yep.
can go visit,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
So it's not you don't have to be there for 2 years or 3 years or a year, whatever the duration the project is, right?
yeah.
But now is this is it. This is where I want to be. Really, it's just like
Hmm.
I'm very grateful for for the opportunity. Really,
Yeah. So when you think about this industry, because you have been in it for a while, um, and we know some of the challenges that have presented itself within the industry, a long-standing need for the industry to be more conducive to a minority's success. Um, what what differences or what things would you like to see maybe change within the construction industry?
my personal experience, I don't really have. I think the first thing is you have to gain the experience first,
Mm,
gain your knowledge.
yeah,
That's number one important. When you walk in to a meeting with full of people, right? Sometimes, and then you are the boss or you are the man.
yeah,
I often been mistaken. It's, they think that I'm the engineers or whatever. Then, and that's okay, right? Or sometimes when you walk in, when when people start listening to you talking, right? Oh, this guy really know what he's talking about, right? That's really the key, in my opinion, there, Paul. Right? So when you start your career, basically, right, you need to gain as much as experience you can, right? Learn different things, so that when um, you are there, even if you are a minority, then I don't think that would be a problem at all. I think I haven't seen any much problem except, okay, what do you know about construction? I've been here for 50 years, for example, right? But when they start listening to you talk, and then oh, okay, you kind of know stuff. You kind of know what we are facing. So that that feeling being overly challenged, like, oh, okay, that's not there anymore. So you can conversation becomes more fluid that way.
yeah, yeah. No, thanks for sharing. Um, we like to talk through those things because, right, whether it's, hey, this foregone conclusion that, hey, just because, I have this particular ethnicity, it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm the engineer in the room, right? I'm actually the leader in this room. And so it's being able to understand kind of that from our perspective and to speak to that, so that we can identify, hey, what are some areas that we probably need to be more aware of, and not necessarily, looking at a person and saying, okay, well, generally you're in this role, and so that's what my assumption is before even asking. And so I think that's really important. Yeah.
I could relate to some of my experience, right? But again, you know, I think nowadays people are different, right? And then there's also a lot of things that companies trying to do for diversity and stuff, right? And that's all over the place. Yeah. So I think um, my for myself, I don't really have any issue, but I think the key, like I said, you know, when you had the real experience in the bag, in your belt, under your belt, then I think that helps you along the way, right? So I can talk to oil and gas people, I can talk to the civil people, you name it, basically, or the building people, right? Because you know a little bit. If you look at my experience, I don't really have any building experience, right? My experience is all in the industrial type of the work or civil because I was in college doing some research on the civil side,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah.
But really, but bit here, bit there, but you're not really green around the subject. But construction is all about the same, eh? Whether you are doing different things, but different type of construction, but they all you're building things from the ground up. So it's not much differences in how you
Yeah.
build. Yeah. So it's
No,
it's
that's good.
exciting. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So we've got this segment kind of within each one of the episodes now that we've started here in season two, and it's called our community insights segment. And within the Construct Reach community, we have our app, and we like to develop and establish community where folks who are within this industry that are coming from different angles, different perspectives, different walks of life can connect. And so we pose questions every now and then into the community, and we get responses from them. But we also like to bring those questions here onto the podcast so that you can answer as well, and then kind of bring those answers back into the community. So the question that is circulating right now in the Construct Reach community is this right here, and I'm going to see what your response is. It says, when you're feeling frustrated or discouraged while learning a new skill, how do you deal with it?
You need to take your time. So I learn new skills every day, right? I wasn't a programmer in the past, but I learned how to program. I learned how to code a little bit. I'm not very good at it because I really didn't I didn't go to school for that. But I get the hang of it. So um, basically, you just need to do and work through it slowly and invest your time basically. So I would, unless you really don't like it, then that's a different story, right? But if you just feeling down, oh, this is difficult for me, but you just take your time, and then you know I always teach my kid also, right? Basically, sometimes it takes people 3 days to get there. It may take you 6 days. It doesn't matter. You're gonna get there. You know. Then, you know, it's to me. It's not all about competition.
Right.
I'm a competitive guy, but I try to like suppress that so much I can. That so you need to know your strength, and then
Yeah, that part.
try
Yeah.
to use that. And then but if like when I first jumped ship from construction to tech industry, I feel very difficult. Oh wow, what I did before was so easy. This is so hard, right?
Yeah.
But it took me at least a year or so to actually learn, and
Mm.
basically, um, I'm taking my time. I'm investing a lot of hours to basically advance myself and try to catch up with people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you need to find a good mentor
Mm.
to
That
talk
part
to.
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Say that
that's
again.
really
Yes.
important. Yeah. So you need to find a good mentor that can encourage you, you know, and basically guide you along the way. Yeah. So
Hmm.
I was very fortunate. everywhere I'm at, basically, I have a very good managers that mentor me.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah. So I
Now,
think,
did you seek your mentors out?
well, you can. I mean, in my company, you can actually ask somebody to be a mentor,
Mm,
right? But I never did. But I happen to have a few of very strong individuals that provide mentorship
yeah.
throughout my career.
Very good response. No, thank you, Iwan, for sharing that. Yeah, you do. You have to be patient with yourself. You know, everything doesn't happen overnight. Things still take time, and I know we live in a society that combats that principle all the time, just because of how quickly we can do most things now. But certain things still do take time, and there's still a learning curve, right? And you have to be patient with yourself. Allow yourself to go through that process of learning, that developmental stage, you know, and having others that know what they're doing, to kind of share some of that knowledge and insight for you as well. And so surrounding yourself, you know, with mentors that can help you develop, that can reflect back to you maybe areas that, you know, you could use a little bit more development in, bouncing ideas off of. They can be a sounding board as well, and just provide, you know, the necessary tools and information to help you navigate, you know, through your career, especially when you're young in it. I think mentors are necessary for all stages, but we definitely, you know, like to raise and highlight the value of that as well. And so thank you, Juan, for mentioning that. So yeah, if you don't get anything else right from that response, hold on to those two things. Be patient with yourself. Understand that things do take time. Just because something is difficult, don't mean it ain't for you, right?
Right. Exactly.
And have a mentor. Yes, yes, yes.
Exactly. If I would have quit at that time, when I jumped to the tech side of the construction, then I wouldn't be here. I
Yeah,
may still be in the project somewhere.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Juan, for joining us today, man. It was a pleasure having you on. Much success to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Paul.
Thanks again, everybody, for tuning into our show. Remember, like, share, subscribe to the podcast, and join the movement as we reach to build a better future that we can all be proud of.